The mirror showed you standing still, even after you stepped away. Shadows stretched across the floor, reaching for your feet. In the window's reflection, someone else stood beside you. The dream felt real until you woke with sand in your hands. Your shadow whispered, though your lips never moved. The reflection blinked twice as you blinked once. A dream ended with you waking, only to realize you were still asleep. The mirror fogged up with words you didn't write. Every shadow in the room pointed toward you. Your reflection smiled before you did. The mirror fractured, but the pieces still showed you whole. You woke from a nightmare, but the scream followed you into reality. The reflection stepped closer when you stood still. Shadows gathered at the corners, whispering secrets. The mirror was too deep, as though it led somewhere else. A dream left you breathless, with scratches on your chest. Your reflection mouthed words you hadn't spoken yet. The shadow grew taller than the walls could allow. The mirror's surface rippled when you touched it. You dreamed of drowning and woke with water in your lungs. The reflection turned its head before you could. Shadows moved even without light. You dreamed of someone knocking and woke to find your door open. The mirror showed you with eyes that weren't your own. Your reflection whispered a word you couldn't forget. The shadows swayed, even though no wind blew. A dream bled into morning when you found soil on your hands. The reflection lingered after you walked away. The shadows formed shapes of people you once knew. A nightmare ended with a touch on your arm that still lingers. The mirror didn't show the room behind you. Your reflection looked older than you are. The shadows moved closer each night you left the light off. You dreamed of falling and woke with bruises on your knees. The mirror whispered a name you had forgotten. Shadows gathered beneath your bed, even at noon. The reflection's eyes followed you across the room. Your dream ended, but the stranger from it was still sitting at the foot of your bed. The mirror grew foggy, even though the air was cold. Shadows passed across the wall with no one to cast them. You dreamed of a place you've never been, and woke up holding its soil. The reflection leaned closer, though you didn't. The shadow's fingers stretched long across your chest. The mirror cracked, but only across your reflection. You dreamed of laughter, and woke to it echoing in your house. The reflection's mouth moved, but it wasn't your voice. Shadows gathered in a circle around your bed. The mirror showed you sleeping, even though you were awake. Your dream ended with a scream, and the sound carried into your room. The reflection touched the glass from the other side. The shadows curled into the shape of hands reaching. The mirror showed someone standing behind you. A dream told you a secret you weren't meant to know. The reflection's eyes glowed faintly in the dark. The shadows climbed the walls, watching you. You dreamed of someone calling your name, and woke to find no one there. The mirror's surface shivered like water. Shadows whispered as though gossiping about you. Your reflection stood still when you tilted your head. You dreamed of fire and woke smelling smoke. The mirror grew colder the longer you stared into it. Shadows spilled across the floor like liquid. Your reflection grinned wider than your mouth could. You dreamed of music and woke hearing it faintly in your ears. The mirror's glass felt like skin beneath your hand. Shadows pulled themselves closer to your feet. The reflection turned away as though it saw something behind you. You dreamed of being chased and woke with your pulse racing. The mirror flashed an image that wasn't you. Shadows disappeared whenever you looked directly at them. Your reflection's pupils dilated in the dark, though yours didn't. You dreamed of silence, but woke to the sound of weeping. The mirror dripped water, though it wasn't broken. Shadows stretched longer than the light should allow. The reflection's hands pressed against the glass. You dreamed of a storm, and woke with rain on your windowless walls. The mirror showed your lips moving, though you hadn't spoken. Shadows tangled themselves around your ankles. The reflection was smiling when you weren't. You dreamed of someone whispering and woke to breath on your ear. The mirror darkened, showing only your outline. Shadows pooled beneath your bed, shifting. Your reflection mouthed your name with no sound. You dreamed of endless stairs and woke exhausted. The mirror showed you wearing clothes you don't own. Shadows flickered with expressions you couldn't read. The reflection's hands didn't match yours. You dreamed of blood and woke with stained sheets. The mirror seemed deeper than it was wide. Shadows clung to your back as you moved. The reflection mouthed, "Help me." You dreamed of drowning and woke coughing water. The mirror's glass vibrated with whispers. Shadows fled from your light, but returned stronger. The reflection looked directly at you, even when you turned away. You dreamed of doors slamming and woke to one shutting in your home. The mirror fogged with your reflection's breath, not yours. Shadows pressed against the walls, calling to get closer. Your reflection stood taller than you. You dreamed of endless knocking and woke to a knock at your door. The mirror bled a crack down the center. Shadows wrapped around your hands like cuffs. Your reflection's eyes filled with tears, though yours were dry. You dreamed of falling skies and woke with dust on your skin. The mirror rattled in its frame. Shadows crept into your bed sheets. The reflection looked furious, though you were calm. You dreamed of screaming, but woke with your throat sore. The mirror's surface rippled with unseen hands. Shadows mimicked your every move, only a second too late. The reflection laughed, without sound. You dreamed of chains dragging and woke to hear them nearby. The mirror whispered in voices not your own. Shadows poured from your closet. Your reflection moved when you were frozen. You dreamed of burning eyes and woke with your room hot. The mirror blurred your face. Shadows shaped into the form of a stranger. The reflection clawed at the glass. You dreamed of whispers and woke to hearing them clearer. The mirror showed the room as it was yesterday. Shadows recoiled when you spoke your name aloud. Your reflection tilted its head unnaturally far. You dreamed of endless hallways and woke standing in yours. The mirror glowed faintly in the dark. Shadows crawled along the ceiling. The reflection screamed silently. You dreamed of graves and woke with dirt under your nails. The mirror's frame dripped as though it were bleeding. Shadows encircled you in a ring. Your reflection turned its back on you. You dreamed of a door opening and woke to yours ajar. The mirror showed something looming behind you. Shadows traced words along the wall. Your reflection pressed its palms against the glass, begging. You dreamed of being watched and woke to eyes outside your window. The mirror showed you sleeping, though you were awake. Shadows whispered names you didn't know. Your reflection's smile widened impossibly. You dreamed of fire and woke to smoke filling the air. The mirror dripped water that never dried. Shadows tugged at your arms as you walked. Whispers echoed from your empty voicemail, begging you not to answer. Your phone lit up with a missed call from your own number at 3:33 a.m. A text arrived, but the sender was saved as you. Every voicemail began with heavy breathing, followed by your childhood lullaby. The static in your voicemail hummed your name again and again. You played the message back, and it repeated the words you were about to say. The voicemail contained a recording of you sleeping last night. A message arrived in your inbox, but the timestamp was from tomorrow. Someone whispered, "Don't pick up, it's not me." The voicemail ended with the sound of your front door unlocking. Each call you ignored was followed by 3 knocks at your window. The whispering voice on the message grew louder each time you replayed it. You deleted a message, only to find it reappeared seconds later. A child's laughter echoed from the voicemail, though no child lives near you. The caller ID displayed unknown, but the voice used your full name. The voicemail began with a scream before dissolving into silence. The static formed words, "I see you." Your phone rang once, then left a new voicemail without a missed call. When you pressed play, your own voice begged you not to listen. The voice whispered an address you've never been to, but knew you had to. The voicemail contained sounds of footsteps circling your bed. Every saved voicemail rewrote itself into something darker. You answered once, and the voice on the other end repeated everything you thought. The message ended with a soft knock-knock, right as you heard one at your door. A voicemail began with your birth date being whispered in reverse. The voice coughed as though it had been waiting too long to speak. Each replay of the voicemail revealed more words hidden in the static. You pressed delete, but the message laughed before vanishing. The voicemail said, "Check the mirror." The voice sounded like yours, only broken and distorted. A stranger wept in the voicemail, calling you by a secret name. The recording contained the sound of someone breathing behind you. The caller left a countdown that matched your clock. The voicemail played backwards but still made sense. The whisper said, "Stop ignoring me." Every message ended with your name being screamed. The static pulsed like a heartbeat against your ear. The voice said, "I'm already inside." A voicemail contained the sound of your front door creaking open. The message ended with your own voice saying goodbye. The voicemail began before you pressed play. The whispers grew impatient, demanding to be heard. The caller left a recording of a lullaby you forgot you knew. The voice called you by the name no one else uses. The message begged you to look behind you. Every voicemail grew longer the more you ignored them. A distorted laugh filled the recording, echoing into silence. The whisper asked, "Why didn't you answer?" You saved the voicemail, but it saved itself under home. The message ended with the sound of breaking glass. The caller knew the exact number of steps in your hallway. A voicemail contained the sound of claws scratching wood. The whisper grew louder until your phone overheated. You replayed the message, and the voice said something new. The caller knew what you were wearing. The voicemail ended with a scream that wasn't yours. A second voice whispered underneath the first, warning you to run. The message begged you not to leave your house tonight. A voicemail contained the sound of children chanting your name. The static said, "Don't hang up next time." Every deleted message reappeared at 3 a.m. sharp. The voicemail revealed a knock at your window seconds before it happened. The voice sighed, "Finally, you're listening." A voicemail contained your exact conversation from yesterday. The whispers told you a secret only you knew. A recording played of someone weeping in your basement. The message said, "Answer before it's too late." The voicemail ended with the sound of chains dragging. The caller begged you to open your closet door. A voicemail began with the words, "It's right behind you." You replayed the message, but each time the voice grew angrier. The voicemail was empty until you turned off the lights. The whisper said, "Why did you leave me there?" The recording contained your own scream. A message arrived while your phone was turned off. The caller ID was blank, but the voice said your name. A voicemail contained the sound of a lock clicking. The whisper begged you to come outside. The message said, "They're almost here." The voicemail ended with a gunshot. The recording repeated, "Don't look up." A voicemail contained the sound of a door slamming shut. The voice growled, "You can't ignore me forever." The message ended with a child singing in the dark. The caller whispered, "I'm not alone." The voicemail began with heavy footsteps approaching. A message contained someone laughing under their breath. The whisper said, "Pick up or regret it." A voicemail contained the sound of nails tapping glass. The caller said, "You don't remember me, but I remember you." The static screamed before fading. A voicemail contained the sound of your own breathing recorded hours ago. The voice whispered coordinates you didn't recognize. The message said you shouldn't have moved. The caller begged you to turn on the lights. A voicemail contained the sound of something growling low. The whisper said, "It's in the room with you." The message ended with glass shattering in your kitchen. A voicemail contained the sound of someone unlocking your phone. The caller knew your most recent search history. A voicemail contained the sound of laughter that didn't stop. The whisper said, "Let me in." The message ended with scratching beneath the floorboards. A voicemail played your heartbeat, slowing down. The caller said, "You can't hide forever." A voicemail contained the sound of a match being struck. The whisper warned, "Don't go to sleep." The message contained the sound of your name being screamed outside. A voicemail recorded you crying years ago. The caller said, "You belong to me." The message ended with a door creaking open in your house. A voicemail contained the sound of glass crunching under footsteps. The whisper said, "I've been waiting." A voicemail contained the sound of your own laughter, but distorted. The caller repeated, "Look outside." The message ended with your bedroom door handle turning. A voicemail contained the sound of whispers layered in thousands of voices. The whisper said, "They're closer than you think." The caller left only a growl that shook the speakers. A voicemail contained the sound of blood dripping. The message repeated your name until the phone shut down. The whisper said, "It's too late." The voicemail contained the sound of pages turning. The caller said, "Do you remember what you did?" The message ended with your name carved into wood. A voicemail contained the sound of a door slamming shut upstairs. The whisper said, "Don't trust the mirrors." The caller begged you to answer before midnight. The message ended with a scream far away. A voicemail contained the sound of your own voice whispering. The whisper said, "I can see you now." The voicemail ended with a ticking clock. The caller said, "They're already inside." A voicemail contained the sound of chains rattling closer.